So Zoom, here we all go again. Hey, I don't think we were hoping for that. It's a real shame we're not all together for this. I think in the light of what's going on recently, clearly the best decision. But I'd like us all to be together really to celebrate what the charity has achieved this year. And celebrate may not be the best word for it, because obviously this has been a very tough year for a lot of people. But I think we can take pride in the work the charity has done this year, and pride in the difference we've made to people's lives. And I'm desperately hoping that a training weekend in February will go ahead and we can get together and take pride in what we've done this year. So if we reflect back to November last year, the refit was continuing. Quite often I find the refit team, between November and March, say they haven't got enough time. So, they've had 18 months the last refit. And I didn't say any thanks really for that, but it was a long time. So November we moved on, and in kind of things that happened quite quickly after that, we said farewell to Peter. There's Peter getting her farewell present, which was a beautiful painting done by Colin Baxter of a prolific sailing out of Foy, and it's great to see that Peter has joined us here tonight. It's lovely to see you, and good luck, and I hope you're enjoying up in Scotland. We moved at the same time appointing our new staff skipper, so we welcomed Holly into the fold, although Holly of course had been here for a long time, and Holly took her preparations to become staff skipper really seriously. She immediately booked herself on a firefighting course, and I think Holly probably had got wind of the fact that in this season our fire alarm for the engine was going to go off at least once a day, sometimes up to 4 days. And there was a definite foresight there, really, by Holly. So well done, you. But it was quite a tough time when Holly joined. She was working on the refit all by herself, working her fingers to the bone. The rest of the staff were all on furlough. So it was quite a lonely time. But as kind of the evidence about COVID become clear, and it became clear that it wasn't affecting certain sectors of the community. So we decided to expand our volunteer pool, and we got her a dog to come and work for her at the refit, and it was nice for her to have some company. But slowly, as COVID kind of the restrictions got lifted, we were able to recruit some other animals to come back and work for us, and the refit team came back, and that was great to see everyone. And the photo on the right there of everyone scrubbing the decks, Holly sent me that. That was the first day everyone kind of came back with a big woohoo, sun and people, which I think kind of showed what a lonely experience it was just doing a refit by yourself. So well done, Holly. During this period, of course, we did the training weekend. Preparing ourselves for the season, again by Zoom. We had some great presentations. Lucinda and Nissa did a lot of presentations about youth work. Nissa particularly talked to us about the effect COVID lockdown had on young people, and really gives our mindset about the impact and traumas the young people have been through, and what we were likely to expect on the boat from what teachers were experiencing, and how we could better support those teachers, those young people. Sue Cheshire came and gave a talk about mental health, how to look after ourselves and other people. Simon Rowell, a good friend of mine, a weather guru, came and talked about weather forecasting. Dom gave a great VHF navigation refresher, and Andy Brown and Holly gave a talk about how to prepare for a yachtmaster coastal and offshore. And Andrew Wilkes inspired us all by high latitude sailing, gave us some tips on how to scare off bears. I think this is what they do when they're up in the Arctic. And that was kind of the run up to the start of the season. And we did start the season. Well, we did sea trials. A major thing is that our sea trials this year were for 4 days, unlike the previous year, which were for 4 hours. And that was all the sailing we did in the previous year. So we did 4 days getting about on the water, and then we moved quickly into the kind of sea training period, because we were quite concerned about skills fade. So we did 6 weeks of staff training. There's a photo of me, enthusiastic as always. I can kind of only assume that about 12 months of being at home, and everyone knows I kind of basically come on the boat to get some sleep away from the kids, that I'd actually just fallen asleep there on the wheel, really, is all I can say I'm doing. But it's great. We practiced our skills, and like I said, we were scared about skill fade. Lee, at the time, was building up to do his skipper's assessment this year, and he put a lot of thought into a few months before his skipper's assessment about how to prepare to be a skipper. So there he is, drinking as much tea and coffee as possible, which is clearly a great thing that skippers have to be doing. Holly, likewise, very excited about the start of the season, bought the biggest ensign that we could fit on the boat. That covers half the deck, and it was a great start. But for most of us, it was kind of remembering how to sail. And I was kind of really impressed by the attitude of everyone that came on board. We were working through our COVID protocols and things were changing fast and furiously. And kind of the positive attitude people came with to work with us on this. But also just, you know, I think we were all surprised how tiring a day at sea was, how tiring it was to remember what we'd forgotten, learn new things, and just talking to people. But the real thing I kind of took away from it was that joy to be on the water together again. And it was something very special. And I think we all made ourselves kind of a promise at the beginning of these voyages that one of the key things we had to do this year was to be kind to each other. And I think, and kind to the young people that sail with us. And I do think we achieved that as a charity. And that was quite a big thing for us to do. We also we did a few videos to try and excite people about the forthcoming season that was coming out. And I'll just play you a few of these just so you remember what it was all about.
Hi, I'm Jess.
And I'm Sumail.
And we're here on board Prolific for the Sea Staff Refresher Training Weekend. So we're currently leaving our anchorage in Osborne Bay off the Isle of Wight. And we've been up to a load of skills this weekend, just refreshing our memory and practicing.
So yesterday after we left from Southampton, we put up a few of the sails and learned how to do attacks and jibes again, which were really fun. We also did a man overboard exercise, as well as a few various safety courses too.
Yeah, it was really useful, refreshing the skills on tacking to get over to Cowes, where we spent the night in Trinity Landing last night. And this morning we just headed over to this anchorage and we've been able to do some more drills. So we're currently practicing the anchorage, and we'll later use the fire hose.
Yeah.
It's been really useful to be back on board.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're back, and this entire weekend has been amazing. It's so nice to be off the mainland and out at sea again.
Yeah. So as you can just see, we are leaving our anchorage. We've got some people at the front on the windlass.
I'll show you this one just because I like, as the mainsail hoist here, it dumps half a ton of water on the staff at the back of the boat.
Hello, I'm Lauren and I'm here on Prolific on our staff training weekend. We've just left Ocean Village and we're in Southampton water, and we're about to pull up the mainsail. So if I turn around you can see behind me, so our mizzen is already up, and we've got a whole team of staff pulling up the mainsail. You can watch it go there. So just before the season starts, we're doing some training weekends. So all our staff, we've got lots of first or second mates on board this weekend. Can remember how the boat works essentially. Go and have a look.
Ready, wet, ready,
And everyone's getting a little bit soaked, but it's all going fairly smoothly. So we're really looking forward to this season and seeing you all in the summer. So I hope lots of you can come sailing with us soon. And you could be here pulling these ropes.
And just one final one, which I have to show this one.
Hi there, my name's Patrick and I'm one of the second mates on Prolific with Ocean Youth Trust South. We've just had the most amazing mid-weekend sailing out in the Solent. I haven't been on the boat for about 2 years, so that feeling yesterday when we first got the sails up was absolutely awesome. We've done some man overboard drills, we've had some great food, great to see everyone again, it's been absolutely amazing. This is one of our other second mates, Kathy. Oh, where's Kathy gone? She was here just a second ago. Oh. Oh well, I was going to show you how to hoist the staysail with Kathy, but I guess I'm going to have to do it on my own. So, first things first, you need to get the sail ties off. The snip hitch, all you have to do is pull this end, it'll come undone. Just like this. Oh my God!
Hello, I'm Auntie Kathy, ready to welcome you on board.
It kind of leads me to think, for the best sail stows, we just need to put a member of sea staff in the headsail for the future. Moving on, just before we started the season, we launched our hashtag, the Sail to Wellbeing campaign. And this came about, I went on a lecture by Mind, and there was this research produced by the NHS and a few bodies about that if you did these 5 steps, your well-being would improve. And it's long been something that we've worked at in sail training. We all know it's good, we all know it benefits people, but how do we prove that happens? But if you look at these steps, these are all things that happen on a sail training boat. And if you do this and take part in sail training, your well-being will improve. So it's connect with other people. We all know when you sail on a boat, you meet people for the first time, you get to know them, but people that you know, you learn new sides of them, new depths, you share things when you're out at sea, you connect in a more deeper way with people. Being physically active, everyone, unless you're perhaps the skipper, is physically active on a boat. Taking notice, paying attention to the present moment, that mindfulness. And you know, we all will remember the first time we've sailed with young people and they've seen the stars out the sight at night, what it means to people, that reflection people have. I remember a voyage I did years ago coming out of Cowes. It was just still, and we switched the engine on, just sheeted the main and mizzen, and just ghosted with the tide out through the Needles. And it's summer's day, and we had these quite a challenging group on, and there was two lads on deck, and I wanted everyone down just to get some food. And I thought they were up there skiving. This lad I came up with, he was about 17 and a kind of street cage fighter. And I was like, you know, come on lads, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm just looking out here. It's just beautiful. And, you know, he was just enjoying that moment that we all do when we're sailing. Learning new skills, start yachting, comp crew, learning to cook, clean, you know, knots, whatever. We're all, in whatever level we sail with on a boat, we're all learning new skills. Giving to others, from volunteering, the superb example given by those of you that are volunteers on the boat, giving your time in a really positive manner, to just those random acts of kindness, that making a hot chocolate for somebody at 4 in the morning when you're on night watch, that giving to others. So this is kind of great stuff that if you do this, and this is what sail training is about for me, that will improve your well-being. Another thing that happened just before we started the season, you may remember Molly, who used to work in the office, and Sam Rawlinson, they got married and they had a baby, and this is baby Atlas. So absolutely fantastic news, and we're so happy for them. I am slightly hoping that they'll have a second child and call it Tidal. But I then move on to some sad news that happened again just before we started the season. This is very sad news. A good friend of ours, Andrew Miller, who was the marina manager both for Brixham and then Ocean Village, sadly and unexpectedly died before we started the season. Andrew was a good friend of the charity, a good friend of all of us on board. He was a wonderful, kind, funny man that really got what we did and supported us. And whenever we operated at, he brought so much joy to us all. It was Andrew that, when we worked out of Brixham, he baked that cake for the first season that we came out for the young people, regularly through barbecues for the young people and staff. And he'll be sadly missed by all of us. He was taken to our hearts. He was a wonderful, kind man, and we will miss him. But we started sailing in June 2021. That's after 603 days with no young people on board due to COVID. And we started cautiously with a limited number of young people, allowed for social distancing. We did pre-voyage tests and screening. And I just said this is one of the first quotes from the young people on the first voyage. My favourite part was all the steering I got to do, because I didn't even know we'd be allowed to do stuff like that. So it's really good. I had a great time and learned a lot, and their crew were all brilliant. Most fun I've had all year. We also did a voyage for some children's homes in Hampshire. One of the staff members told us, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you, your team, on behalf of our young resident. She's had the most amazing time and has not stopped talking about the trip since I collected her. She's grown in confidence, has told us about all the challenges she faced during the voyage and how she was encouraged and supported to achieve every challenge presented to her. She's been talking so positively about this experience. I feel it's been the highlight of the year for her. She's spoken so highly of your team on board and how helpful and friendly and kind all the crew were to her, for which I am as grateful as she was initially very anxious. And I think the theme of this year is the feedback from the young people about what they're getting being on board, but also from parents, carers about what a difference we're making to young people's lives. And this is from one of the girls on that voyage, probably just meeting everyone, getting to know people. Because of lockdown, we haven't been able to go out and stuff. It's just so much nicer to meet loads more new people. Got to learn loads of new things and learn how to work better in a group. Very educational. And I'm not going to do too many quotes, but I just like this one. This is from a group leader. Kids all still buzzing. Some of the older kids said it was the best thing they've ever done. And I'm only a little bit offended, as I'd taught them for 5 years and taken them on many other camps and trips. So well done team. We built up quite quickly, and I was talking about Lee skipper's assessment this year. And what I admired about Lee was the dedication, preparation he put into training for his assessment, and really thought about the rigours of skippering a boat, the areas preparing to be one of our skippers. But we did his assessment voyage, and I have to hand it to Lee. We were a bit short-staffed on Lee's voyage. We normally, I don't know, have about 6, 7 staff. We had 4 of us, so that's including Lee, and then me, who we all know I don't really do anything. So that was Lee's assessment with me, with him, and 2 really watch leaders and a bunch of young people. So you know, basically respect you, Lee, for passing. Well done. We then moved on into July. We were on one of our first mixed voyages of the year, and again, just feedback from people's parents. My daughter had a great time on her recent voyage, and I think it was a great way for her to end a stressful school year. I wanted to thank you and OIT South for the opportunities you've given her. She's faced many challenges in the last few years, and your work has helped towards giving her the tools and confidence to realise she's able and deserving as others to achieve. We then moved on to doing the Max voyage, and this is for a group with no or undeveloped eyes. And again, you know, these youngsters have been heavily impacted. They normally do a lot of events to keep them together as a team, and you know, COVID had just completely blown that away for them. And again, great quote from a young person on board. Thank you for allowing me to be myself again. Also, thanks for giving me the best week of the past 2 years of my life. I'll remember this week forever. I expect in a few years' time, I'll still remember everyone's faces around this table, all smiling at me, and the laughter throughout the whole trip. And I think those of us have done the Max voyage. They are absolutely incredible voyages and tremendous young people. This voyage was also notable for it being the honeymoon voyage. Ruby, who's one of our first mates, and Becky got married, and they came for their honeymoon on the voyage, and that's them celebrating their honeymoon in a very OYT, OIC kind of manner, but a huge congratulations to them. I do believe they did actually go somewhere else before they went on the voyage, but a big congratulations to them. And then, of course, the other huge congratulations is on that voyage was the final sign-off for Holly and her skipper's assessment, kindly carried out by Andy Brown. And well done, Holly, really. Again, we had to just keep doing fine tuning, because the key thing before you can be passed out as a skipper is you have to be able to prove that you can wear a pumpkin on your head. So once Holly could prove she could do that, she was in. I'll just break off. This was Holly's kind of first year skippering a big boat, prolific, I think we'll agree, is a big boat, in a tough area to sail, the Solent, tides, traffic. And I know from the first year when I skippered Lang and I got that first season out of the way, how relieved I was just to get it done. Holly, I'm sure you're feeling loads of relief, and I just want to congratulate you on a season well delivered. You delivered a fantastic season, and thank you so much from all of us. We then moved on to the MGL award winners. MGL choose a number of deserving youngsters, each from their marinas. Again, these young people just blow you away. And I was saying, we got, during voyages, you get emails from parents, whilst sometimes while the voyage is still underway. And one of these was, I just wanted to drop an email to say how overwhelmed I am, how happy my daughter is, and how highly she talks of the voyage and the opportunity. She absolutely loves it. Something about her changes when she's sailing, her zest for life and wanting more than we can offer. Although that fills my heart with sadness, I value the skills and life lessons sailing is teaching her. I'm so eternally grateful to you for offering her this opportunity again. She is literally over the moon every time I hear from her. We also carried on our staff training. There's Sarah qualifying as a bosun this year with Josh. And we carried on that training with young people all through the year with young sea staff. We moved into also the ASTO race we did, which is a very postponed Mayflower Dartmouth race. I'll just now again apologise to Holly. This was my, in another position, my first race I ever did as chair of ASTO, and basically set 13 boats off to beat to windward in 30 knots for 3 days. I apologise now, Holly, for all the vomit, chaos, fear that your rig was going to fall down. You know, I apologise, just get that out of the way. But feedback from the school about this voyage. One of the teachers, this is absolutely brilliant, so much to digest. Thank you to everyone involved. What an amazing opportunity, and how clearly you've seen our pupils. And I like that bit, how clearly you've seen our pupils. I can't express how grateful we are to OYT South, just phenomenal. And another one of the teachers, as a membership of the leadership team of Dartmouth Academy, I'm so impressed with this entire endeavour. The report submitted here is comprehensive, and as I know all these pupils will make it, the report submitted here is comprehensive, and as I know all these people well, it makes me so happy that they've had the opportunity to undertake this experience. Thank you to all at OYT South. And I mentioned those two things so you know, as sea staff, the reports that you're writing at the end of a voyage that goes, and the work then that it goes into with CAS through Joe formulating through and getting it to the schools, the group leaders, the support workers with the young people, what a difference that work makes and how much it is valued, that your contribution, and why it is so important we do a good job on the boat with that. I'm not going to cover every voyage we've done. We moved on, we did some specific staff training voyage for young sea staff, worked with the Amber Foundation, the Ellen MacArthur Trust, and then we moved on, we did a voyage with the George Green School in Tower Hamlets. And I'm just going to read this quote, because this, again, is one of mine and Kaz's favourite, that, and it's a young person just explaining that difference between actually experiencing something rather than playing a video game or seeing it on TV. And I love this quote. There's like a sort of weird thing that you can't, with experiences, you can't really see. It's the same way as like a photo or a video. And it's like being there has been so much more meaning to it. And it's like you're actually experiencing it. There's a lot of things you don't have in a photo, like even the smallest things, the sound of like, I don't know, waves splashing, going past the wind in my hair, and all that kind of thing you just don't have when you're not there. I think phenomenal quote from a young person about the value of what it is to sail. But the young people didn't achieve everything this year. I achieved as well, and I got my dinghy RYA level 2. Well done, me. Now, do you know how hard it is to charter a boat, a dinghy in Windermere? You can go there and they say, have you got your RYA dinghy level 2? And you go, not on me. I go, well, you can't have a boat. And you go, well, I've got my instructor's card, my examiner's card. They go, you can't have a dinghy. So you sit there and you go, well, what can I do? And they're like, well, you can fill in an 8-page written exam. So I was like, oh my God. So I did this 8-page written exam, which you have to kind of draw about how you can sail on and off things. And it's hard. You have to kind of go how you can communicate distress in a dinghy, which, how are you going to communicate distress in a dinghy? There's no flares, there's no inmost, I don't know. So anyway, so I did this 8-page written exam, to which I passed. And Rosie, my wife, said to me at the end of that going, you took a long time over that. And I'm like, well, too right, because if I failed, you'd let everyone I know that I'd failed. So I determined this year that I was going to get my level 2 when I went home, and I could keep it on me in the car. So I went home and found I only had my level 1. So this year I was determined I was going to do my level 2. So this poor instructor out in Venaki in Greece got me on the level 2 course, which, you know, it was marginal. I think it's probably fair to say through the course for either of us who was going to stick it through. But I did get it. So fired up by this, I signed up then to do the advanced dinghy sailing course, which they put me on with Rosie and then 2 other newbies into sailing. And I promptly took a wayfarer out and nearly sank it. So much so that we had to get rescued twice. And but it did give me a really good prep for my Yacht Master Instructor's revalidation this year, which was up peculiarly with Lee examining me at the end of the year, because I was able to talk about stability and the effect of free surface action on the boat as we nearly went in. So that's my tale of, you know, the sailing I've done this year. So moving on. We sailed with the Cowes Enterprise College, Bruin Abbey School, just 2 more voyages to cover. We did Bay House School Gosport, Portsmouth Harbour Marine, a group of young people getting into maritime training. One of the parents wrote, she came back engaged and excited, and I think the trip was what she really needed after a difficult year. It was so great for her physical and mental well-being at the moment. And then the final voyage of the season we did for the London charity Ambition, Aspire and Achieve. I just love this photo. If you start recognising staff there from that voyage, I'll let you all take a moment to see who you might know. One of the 13-year-olds said about this voyage, this has been the best trip I've ever had. If this was a hotel, I would stay here for longer. I definitely would go again. The best bit was the sailing, the driving, the food in capitals, 5 stars all day. This place has helped me a lot. And if that's going to be our TripAdvisor review, I'll take that with pride. Well done, everyone, this year for that. So a bit of facts and figures of a review of the year. So after 603 days with no young people on board, from November 2019 to June 2021, we resumed sailing on the 26th of June 2021, with only 60% of our normal season still available to sail. And we ran a full programme of 23 voyages and 2 day sails without cancelling any voyage. And if I go back to where we were in March, February, when we started gearing up to the start of the season, I thought we'd only get a few of the staff training voyages going. And if we were lucky, I was kind of thinking we might get 1 or 2 voyages going with young people before it all just gets canned on us, and that would be it. But we took a view as a charity that there was a number of things that were really important. One, it does the boat no good, just sat there. But the other, we were really worried about skills fade for the volunteers and for the paid staff. And the other one is young people out there were in need and needed our support and needed what the charity could do and offer. And we believed, and the board were completely behind this, the trustees are completely behind this, that even if we sailed with 12 young people that year, it was worth it. And that's why we went ahead, even though financially it could have been quite a costly experience. And it is phenomenal that we managed to deliver what the maximum season that we could. So we started with a maximum of 8 young people on board. We normally take up to 15. 1st of August, we raised that to 10. So we would offer 600 berths in a normal season. That reduced us down to 238 places. We filled 219 of those, 92% of our available berths. Of that shortfall, that was mainly people dropping out to COVID at the last minute. More people actually dropped out of COVID, but Kaz, Joe worked tirelessly to go through reserve lists So we didn't waste any berth for a young person. And the amount of time and effort they put into ensuring each boat voyage went out with the maximum amount of people was phenomenal and shouldn't be underrated. We sailed 2,335 miles, which is more than the 12 miles we sailed in the previous season. And of that, 136 berths, 62% of our berths came under a disadvantage heading, and 136 people were allocated bursary funding due to the kindness of our donors and supporters to help them sail. And we did 118 start yachting and 23 comp cruise certificates. A bit about income. We budgeted 168 grand, roughly 100 in income. Our estimated year end, we've got this all this out to the accountants yet, but Martin is hot on this, really good. We're estimating our year end about 357,000. A superb year in terms of fundraising, incredible year. And I kind of just want to break down, kind of give you an impression how some of this has happened. So this is some of the major sources of income for us this year. ASTO, the Association of Sail Training Operators, made a lifeboat appeal grants to all of the UK sail training operators that are a member of ASTO, because they were quite concerned that a number of operators might fail in that year of COVID. So they made a significant donation to us. Ben Martin, one of our trustees, his company P666, have been fantastic in helping us. Then we could go through the trusts, the foundations that are long-term supporters of this charity. Jeff Harrington Foundation, Patrick and Helena Frost, the DCR Ellen Trust, Peter Dixon Mohawk Voyage Fund, Ellis Campbell Foundation, the Whirlwind Charitable Trust. These are foundation trusts that have supported us over a long time. We have a very good relationship with, and they were 100% behind us this year and supporting us because they see the value in what we did and supported us magnificently this year to get through. The Gypsy Moth Fund, sadly, people know the Gypsy Moth, they have not been able to operate this year, and they've wound their fund up, and we've had a very generous donation to help support disadvantaged young people to go sailing. And then remembering our kind of people that support us in kind. So International Paints, the donation of paint to the boat, which, you know, is just superb on that level of support, and the technical support they give us on how to apply paint. And MDL, the berthing at Ocean Village, at Brixham, the lift out at Saxon Wharf. Without that support, we wouldn't exist. And then two new donors that are particularly poignant to us. There's Ned's Fund and Will Does. These are mums raising money in memory of their boys who sadly took their own lives as teenagers. And it means a huge amount to them to give other young people a chance in their memory. Two great organisations and mums that we work with. And then, of course, just remember the smaller donors, the people that give us the £5, £10. Sandy Garrity, who fundraised by sailing up to Scotland, was trying to get all the way around the UK, but the Caledonian Canal sadly shut on him. But those people, the volunteers that make those donations to us, make a big difference. And for me, very heartfelt, because it's those of you that are already giving so much, giving more, and it means so much to me, and I know it does to Kaz. We also did the virtual voyage, kind of a Holly and Kaz champion thing, but everyone got really behind. Because we knew we couldn't start the season, we decided to run a virtual voyage, which everyone had to pick an activity, pledge a mileage, and get sponsored. And then we went to see how far we could sail Prolific in 1 week. And we sailed it 2,431 miles. And you can see there, we went from Southampton to Harlingden, through the Kiel Canal, to Hell, via Gedser, Bornham, Visby, Nagu, Parnu, via Tallinn, Riga, Klaipeda, amongst many places, and raised over £6,000 for the charity. A great, great, great effort. The other thing that we also made a big difference to the charity was money in memoriam and legacy fundraising. And in this, again, we had very sad news this year. Roy Hughes, who was one of our fantastic watch leaders, sadly died. And I know most of us that will have sailed with Roy remember with particular fondness. He was a warm-hearted, much-loved, great watch leader, utterly dependable, fun, and utter joy to sail with. he came to the refit so much he was seen as part of the core team. And the systems manual on Prolific was largely Roy's work, and is a great piece of legacy for him to leave to us. But he, a wonderful man, and sadly missed by all of us. But Roy's family and other people like Howard Gross, Martin Pearson, John Pennyfather donated money in memory or collected at funerals for the charity. Sadly, the other person that passed away this year, and I know Lindy is here with us, is Tony Chamberlain. And those of us that are old school, Andy Brown, perhaps myself, will know his name, and Andy, you might well have known Tony. Tony has, and Lindy, have left a fund for young people that otherwise struggle to take part in our voyages. And Tony was an OIC skipper, and I've just got two, but I've just got to tell you from, it was in the bulletin I kind of, when Kaz gave me. He was destined supposedly for his career in the Royal Navy, but two slips in protocol seemed to indicate that he wasn't destined for high office. One was in a shooting competition in the Malta fleet, he beat the Admiral, which is supposed to be a no-no. And the second is that he fell overboard in Portland Harbour as the ship manoeuvred to anchor. And this is considered desertion. So Tony moved on, became an OIC skipper. And I'll read just a bit about him. Tony seemed born to be a sail training skipper. The story was never about him. Whilst taking the jobs extremely seriously, he never took himself seriously. Jokes were plentiful. Bosuns and second mates were encouraged to fulfil their potential, as were crew members, many of whom returned for another go. I think qualities that all of us that are skipper aspire to. So this was important to Tony to offer this bursary funding to young people so they could get the same experience that he got in his life, the friendships, the chuckles and great memories. So thank you to Tony and to Lindy, who's here tonight. Moving on, expenditure for the charity. We budgeted 350 grand. We spent on 305. Some of that money that came through the furlough scheme from the government, some that we pulled in quite a cheap refit this year. But, you know, we're making up for that by having a mega refit this year. But the end of year figures for us is good. If you look, 2021, our original budget was £182,000 loss. That's what we started the year expecting. And we finished the year with a year end of £52,000, nearly 53,000. This may come as a slight surprise to some of the staff team, because when we had a meeting, I told them we'd made a slight loss. That's because I was reading the spreadsheet on my mobile phone and I looked at the wrong column. So good news for the staff team. Strong fundraising, strong support. I've got to say in all of this, Kaz, thank you. Absolutely incredible work. So what's the future hold for us? The booking's looking strong. We've got 3 or 4 voyages that need some work doing on. Please speak to Kaz about them if you want to help us out. Voyages in the light of COVID-19. Well, we've maintained some of the things that we did this year. We're still going to do the longer gaps, turnarounds for extra cleaning. We're going to say with fewer people, probably about 12 on a voyage. Again, we'll not do duvets, we'll turn around oilskins, we'll turn around life jackets, we'll do lateral flow testing twice before the voyage. What other rules might exist? Watch this space. But I'm pretty confident we're going to have a full season. I'm pretty confident it will be a good year, and the great work we've done this year with young people will continue. And for the sea staff, I know the bit you're concerned about. Will the beanbags stay? Yes, they will. So the refit is continuing. What's missing in this photo? So £95,000 refit roughly coming in. Whether next month you can all go down to the refit, I don't know. Who knows what the rules will be next month. But please send them sandpaper, send them paintbrushes, send them love, send them chocolate, send them alcohol. Bit about staff news, we're nearly finished now. We had a new vice patron this year, Gilly Drummond. Gilly has been great support of the charity for a number of years. Family really interesting, from Liverpool shipbuilders, Thomas Royden and son. Her great uncle, Lord Royden, was chairman of the Cunard White Star and built the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth. Gilly herself sailed in the wake of Captain Cook, Fitzroy in Vancouver. She's been a trustee of the National Maritime Museum, Solent Rescue, County President of St John's Ambulance Brigade. She's passionate about involving people in sailing and passionate about our work. And this is a photo of Gilly sailing around Cape Horn. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman and great to have her as part of our team. 2 new trustees as well we brought on board. For the left, we've got Roger Bolton from International Paints. What Roger doesn't know about paint isn't worth knowing. Welcome to the team, Roger. And likewise on the right, John Hicks. John Hicks, passionate sailor, very strong business background and in mentoring. And welcome again to the team, both of you. I didn't put a photo up here, but also just of note to mention is that Leslie Robinson, who's at the meeting tonight, got an OBE last year for her work at British Marine, because I think they were a bit busy last year with something, and also for her charitable work. Well done and congratulations, and well deserved, Leslie. And now some farewells. A farewell to Fred Cole. Fred has been on the board for and joined us through International Paints, really, and became, for Roger, our paint specialist. He joined in the early days. Fred was around in the days where we didn't have a formal relationship with International Paints, and we used to get paint by, I used to get invited to, they had a little shed of stuff that were stock ends and things, but all was supposed to go back out to market. And I used to walk around and think, fancy things that I thought would look good on the boat. And they go, you can't have that because there's nothing wrong with it. And I used to take tins and bash them against the wall and go, well, you can't sell it now, this tin's dented. So Fred thought he'd formalise the deal in a bit more of a professional manner. Fred has been utterly fantastic, apart from slightly barking ideas of painting John Lang's hull colour white. Why on earth you'd want to move from that beautiful burgundy, I could never understand. But Fred made the mistake once of leaving a trustees meeting, and we made him chair. Fred and I then had a number of years where I think you can only say our meetings were small northern men meetings where we'd have our reviews with our flat caps, ferrets, a pint of Alens and dominoes as we reviewed the charity and what I was supposed to be doing. Fred, you've become a great friend of mine through the years you've worked with us. I really value your opinion, your support. I know all the skippers that have worked with you also do the same. You're not leaving, you're leaving the board, but we're not letting you go. Any of your expertise, any of your support, you're a wonderful man, and it's not farewell. And also it's farewell to our cadet, Georgia. Georgia, I know won't want me to go on very long, so I won't. I remember Georgia joining as a young person, then became a volunteer at the refit and joined the staff team. Georgia became that dependable person. All the staff skippers were going, if you want to get a job done, Georgia is that person to get it done. When we're sailing, that person we could all rely on and value. And I've seen you grow those briefings full of confidence. I've watched you this season deliver briefings on deck that are as good as a first mate, better than any briefing that I could do, but that's not possibly much of an accolade. But do that, and your deck work is absolutely impeccable. For Kaz and I, one of the most notable things is when you gave a talk at Trinity House in the major presentation room for ASTO in front of the Worthy of the Great, and you talked about how sail training, what it had done for you. A very powerful speech that people like Richard Reddyhoff of Dean and Reddyhoff Mariners even remembers today. So we will miss you. It's not a farewell. You're coming sailing with us next year. We're not going to let you go. So for both Fred and Georgia, it's traditional at this time that as a farewell, we will give you gifts. There has been a shortage of lorry drivers delivering things. That ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal has slightly delayed things. All the party gifts have been taken up by number 10 recently. You didn't think I wasn't going to mention this, did you? And it's definitely not me being slightly rubbish, although there's possibly something else in common with number 10 there. I'll wait for everyone to edit this out for the bit that might go on YouTube. We will arrange something shortly. Just filling in from this though, we had been advertising as a charity for a professional first mate. As volunteer first mates have rallied round, and we now more or less have cover for the forthcoming season with our volunteer first mates, which is phenomenal. I can't thank you enough for your support. I am utterly dedicated to having volunteer first mates. I love sailing with volunteer first mates, the enthusiasm, the freshness, the different experiences of life that you bring to the boat, I really value. And it is part for me of what the Ocean Youth Trust, Ocean Youth Club is about. So I'm great that we're going to continue that. And we've got a programme lined up next year to encourage and drive more volunteer second mates into being the first mate role. The good news about that is that allows us to recruit a cadet again. So we're out there now recruiting a cadet. So we're nearly finished. Two things. People ask, what difference does sail training make? What long-term impact does it make? And we are going to, I just want to read Will's story. Will is a young person that sailed with us as a kid, and is now just been accepted to officer training at the Britannia Royal Naval College in Dartmouth. And just want to read, a bit long, but I'll race through it. Without my involvement with OIT South over the past decade, first as a young person, now as a watch leader, I doubt that I would have got to this point. In the first instance, I wouldn't have had the confidence to apply. Every time I've stepped ashore after a voyage with OIT South, it's been accompanied by a massive sense of pride and achievement. Whether this been because I've earned my OIA competent crew as a young person, or because I've played my part in helping the sea staff team provide a memorable and lasting experience for the crew on board, the impact has been the same, slowly learning to believe in myself. More than this, the ability to demonstrate aptitude for leadership, teamwork and planning during the application process has largely been enabled by experience built up as a watch leader with OIT South. To name just one example, during my interview board, I spoke at length about how I led my watch of young people in planning and running the pilotage of Prolific into Dartmouth, incidentally the site of the Naval College, something that definitely helped me stand out from other applicants. That's the difference it makes, sail training. Or you can have Patrick's story about how the refit changed his life. I was introduced to proper beer, and as many of the newsletter's readers will be able to confirm, this sparked a long love affair with real ale. In summary, I think looking back on the season brings two things into focus. The immense joy of young people being able to get out of doors, have adventures, make new friends after the challenges that COVID and lockdown has had for a young teenager. And the other bit is from parents, carers, teachers, a sense of how worried they've been about the long-term impact and the pandemic's had on the young person that they care for. And the gratitude, the relief when a child has been withdrawn, anxious, comes home from a voyage and has recovered confidence and a zest for life. So I think if we look back how things seemed 18 months ago, it's amazing the 2021 season was so successful. So from me, thank you to the OIT South team, whether you're the sailing team, shore team, paid, volunteer, the trustees, and of course the donors and supporters. You've all made this possible. I'm finished. I'm going to play you, it's traditional to play out with a song. It's Christmas. I'm going to play out with the Christmas song. It's going to last about 4 minutes this, so you might also want to go and get a beer and we'll come back for the quiz. It's a special song, this. It's done by one of our trustees, Ed Bishop, and the band is involved with police, Doug Hogan. And I'm playing it also because it's not often you get a video with a nice bit of trustee leg in it. Here we go. Hopefully.
No one should be on their own at Christmas. It's that time of the year when I hide my beer behind my throne on the second floor. Sleep it off in the sleigh, in the window display, soon as they close the front door. There's a shortage of ale, so I'm here by myself. I've got ice cream in my beard. I ask what would they like, a bear or a bike? I need a break, 'cause I feel a bit weird. And ho, ho, the night before Christmas and me and the lights are both lit. Might go back to my street, stand in the sleet, see the lights.
Whoa, sorry.
Out from the side. It's my first Christmas alone, when no one should be on their own. I know I'm in trouble, I'm seeing double. Is that twins or just the one kid? My last written warning came first thing this morning. I shouldn't have said what I did, but I did. Ho, 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 holy unfit. Like I told them before at the door, you can't sack me, I quit. I'm there in the garden, they're just starting to carve and break out my wine. It's my first Christmas alone, when no should be on their own, and no one left out in the cold. It's my first Christmas alone. First Christmas alone. I know I did wrong, but if love is as strong as they say, let me back in your heart, if just for one day. It's my first Christmas alone, when no one should be on their own, and no one left out in the cold. This is my first Christmas alone. First Christmas, it's my first Christmas alone, when no one should be on their own, and my heart's not made out of stone. This is my
change the screen. Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone.